Lindley?
Yeah.
When you talk magnet school, you're talking similar to the building that the Proviso district has, where they have that math and science academy?
Something.
And okay, because I was going to say, I know that.
Educating kids in, say, math and science, or just in general education would be magnet school.
Okay, thank you.
Just to pick up on that, I think that's a wonderful idea, and the good thing is that we do have some real estate here on the West Campus for a new structure, but as well, I'd like to see a facility that would be such that it offers services to the highest achieving kids of all the feeder communities: Cicero, Berwyn, Stickney, Lyons, Forest View. Much like our alternative center houses kids who have learning challenges from all the districts. So even though it would be located in Berwyn, for example, it should be a District 201 resource.
Question on that. What would you say then to the criticism that that sets up sort of an academic class system, and basically then you have kids in the other schools that think, well, we're nothing because we're not in that school. We're idiots over here. So, I mean, it sets up a sort of, yeah.
Work harder. I'm
Well,
kidding.
because
No, I
not
think-
everybody can get into
Right.
that school anyway. You're going to have a cutoff somewhere. So, and especially since that is when you're in a classroom and you have people on different levels, that's what you try to do is you put people in different groups that are on different levels so that they can learn from each other. Because it's not everybody is smart in the same way. So we all learn from each other.
Don't they have like AP classes and honors classes?
Right.
So
Right
how
now
would this
there's-
be different than a school where people who mostly take honors courses go to?
Then they would be completely separate from that community. You know what I mean? There are some classes that maybe they're good in math and science, but they're not great in English, and so they take English with a different bunch of kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
But
understand.
they would be entirely separate.
I understand that, but I'm also looking at, we have a community, and people leave the community when the kids reach high school age because they don't think their kids are going to get a good education. I'm throwing out the idea of a magnet school as a way to keep people here and maybe put forward the idea that people think, oh, District 201 is trying to do something.
Well, the only thing I would add to that is, I think we are trying to do something. I think we're trying to service students at all academic or intellectual levels. One of the things we're working on is a program with Morton College where students can take classes that they'll receive college credit for, and as well as the AP classes that we offer. So while I understand Mr. Corvus's perception of what's going on, I would respectfully disagree with that. And I think if a student wants to achieve, they can. The opportunities are available.
I do agree with you as far as what you're saying about if they want to achieve, they can, but when they are more stimulated by being with people who tend to think the way that they think or process things the way they do, their minds work differently. And I can speak, firsthand with that with my son. He's in an 8-year-old class year, and he is so stimulated by that class and comes home with all sorts of great ideas and all sorts of different thinkings and processing, as opposed to some of the core classes that he has here where he says they're a joke. They're a joke. He said there are children that sit in that classroom that disrupt the classes the whole time. Nothing against the teachers. They try very hard, but there's a lot of disruption and not a lot of seriousness about the class. And there's a lot of things that the teachers, just to have to work with who they have to be able to set the bar a lot lower. So his mind does not operate the same way. He's nowhere near as stimulated by those type of classes. And that does occur. I mean, I've heard that from many students about, different kinds of classes. So I hear what you're saying as far as having everyone in one type of class, but I do believe that if you are a certain thinker and you're put within that type of situation, it does stimulate them, it does help them intellectually, and it does raise the bar.
Well, I certainly wouldn't disagree. The only thing I guess I would take issue with is, I don't think we need to lower the bar.
I
think we
agree.
need to raise the bar.
Yes.
And we need to require more of our students, so that they meet those expectations.
Okay.
And I think if we do that, we're going to find that the students will respond. And I think that's one of the challenges that we as a board and our administration has in front of us now.
Thank you.